Okay, we are live once again, and I have another action figure unboxing for you, and this is DC Multiverse Robin Tim Drake from Mcfarlane Toys. There we go. And I've been looking forward to this one for a long time. I pre-ordered it like well over a month ago, I think, and it wound up getting delayed and then pushed forward, and your typical McFarlane Toys shenanigans when you order them off of Amazon.com. Amazon, for whatever reason, just cannot get the release dates right on McFarlane Toys. For I have no idea why, but they always, anytime I pre-order it, always winds up getting delayed, and then it always winds up getting pushed back forward, and it still winds up getting to be late, but not quite as late as they originally thought it was going to be. And you might say, well, they just didn't have enough from when you pre-ordered it, and to which I say, what's the point of pre-ordering then? Because isn't the point of pre-ordering to have enough for the people that pre-ordered them? I don't know. It's all so confusing. I don't know how you sell out of a pre-order. It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. So I'm looking around for my X-Acto knife because I'm sure I had it on here somewhere. There it is. Earlier this morning, when I got off work, I did that little unboxing of a Spin Master Batman figure. So, and that was just because, I just happened to pick it up when I was on my way home from work and got myself something to eat and happened to see it. And I was like, oh, I'll go ahead and get this. So I had intended this to be my next unboxing, but since I already had that, I was like, what the hell? I might as well go ahead and do it. But yeah, Robin, Tim Drake, Robin Reborn, got a little illustration. This is from the cover of the first Robin miniseries, and it's by Brian Bolland, who's a fantastic artist. But I don't know if this is necessarily the best illustration to have on here, though, because most of the costume is covered up, and it's a cool picture. But I just don't know if it's the best one to showcase this particular Robin costume. Look, he's got the eyeballs in his mask. That's unusual. So I probably would have gone with Tom Grummett's cover illustration from the first issue of the ongoing, or his cover illustration from Robin #0. I think either one of those would have been more sort of like, good iconic Robin shots where we would see the whole costume, or maybe even the poster that came with Robin #1 that was illustrated by Neil Adams, who designed this costume in the first place. But we do have something new on here, at least new for me, where we can scan it as a QR code. And if I weren't shooting this on my phone, I would do it as part of the review. So, but we'll go ahead and open it up. And there's a round piece of tape down there, and it looks like that's all that's holding it closed. It says, dive into an ever-expanding world of 25,000 digital comics. Download the app or visit DCUniverseInfinite.com. So I'm guessing that the QR code has something to do with the DC Infinite app, which I used to have, but I wound up dropping it when I was broke one week or something. But let's go ahead and we'll get the figure and everything out of here. And they did the thing that really annoys me, where they put the card and the stand on two separate bubbles. And I hate that. I really wish they would just always put it on one bubble, because that makes it so much easier for me to get the trading card off. See, like I peeled up the whole backing of where the stand was at, or I dropped the stand. And that's fine with the stand because it's a piece of plastic. I can get that out easily, but it's already so difficult to get these cards out without damaging them. So I'm gonna have to try to do this, and hopefully it can. Nope, you're gonna peel off the whole backing, aren't you? Again. All right, so I'm gonna just try to bend the backing rather than the card. And it seems like it'd be cheaper to just do it as one bubble. I don't know why they want to spend extra money on an extra bubble. So irritating. But I did manage to get the card off without damaging it, so that's good. And we can see it's got the same piece of artwork from the back, only this time we get to see the full image with Batman in the background and all that stuff. Like I said, it's a really nice cover, and I do really like it. And Brian Bolland is probably one of the greatest comic book artists of all time. And like, you know, even though I suggested a Tom Grummett image instead, I actually think that that as great as Tom Grummett is, Brian Bolland is just even better. But I think that either one of those Grummett illustrations would have been more fitting for what they were trying to pull off with this. But I guess, you know, since it says Robin Reborn, they were probably trying to tie it in specifically with this miniseries, and that's probably why they didn't do that. But anyway, so it says Robin, Tim Drake, Robin Reborn, data file, real name Timothy Tim Jackson Drake. I didn't know his middle name was Jackson. That's pretty cool. So, yeah, Timothy Drake. So, James, Timothy. So, growing up in Gotham City can be complicated. Especially, this is probably going to be this pretty much the same bio that we had on the. I had it around here somewhere. Don't tell me that now I've lost those superpowers backing cards. I could have. Did I put it with? I found the rest of them. Did I tell you that? Yeah, I found the rest of my superpowers cards. There they are. Okay, so I can put them all together now. But yeah, I think this is going to be a lot of the same. It usually is. They recycle a lot of this stuff. So we can compare what's on the superpowers bio to what's in the multiverse card. Growing up in Gotham City can be complicated, especially when you're a kid obsessed with Batman and Robin. I can relate. After he deduced the identities of Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson, a self-made hero at every sense of the word, Tim took on the role of Robin after attempting to convince Dick Grayson to become Batman's sidekick again following the death of Jason Todd. In Tim's mind, Batman needed a Robin to stay true to himself and the mission. Although Tim didn't intend to take the mantle for himself, he was more than happy to do what needed to be done. So this one, remember when I did the unboxing on the superpowers Tim Drake figure, and I was complaining about how the bio just kind of stopped abruptly. Well, this one continues. Maybe they left that out because they didn't want to mention the death of Jason Todd on there. Maybe that's it. But since the superpowers line is, even though it's still 12 plus, which I think is kind of ridiculous, you know, like I think they probably did that because like superpowers is supposed to be more of a family friendly sort of action figure line. I wonder if it says 12 plus because of like the licensing deals, like maybe Mcfarlane specifically, his licensing deal is for adult collectibles, so he can't really he's not really allowed, if that makes any sense, to make toys for anybody under the age of 12 legally, as per his licensing agreement, whereas Spin Master might only have the rights to do toys that are intended to be children's playthings and aren't allowed to do, you know, adult collectibles, as it were. So, and that might also explain something to do with like the scales on certain things. Like I'd often speculated, and if you look at the play sets and vehicles, it seems to be borne out that McFarlane's Batman 66 line was probably originally intended to be a 3 3/4 inch line, and he had to scale up the figures because of like a licensing agreement, but you know, didn't bother retool the vehicles, which is why a lot of the play sets, which is why a lot of that stuff seems kind of undersized, at least the earlier ones. Likewise, I'm pretty sure those little page puncher figures were intended to be 3 3/4 inch figures. but they wound up not being. Anyway, so we got the figure stand. We go and show up the figure stand. Every figure these days should come with a figure stand. I'm going to continue to harp on that. And Mcfarlane does not disappoint in that regard. So just a plain basic action figure stand. Got the DC logo on there in glossy black. And then as far as our accessories go, he has a bow staff. Now I lost my X-Acto knife again. I swear, I lose more X-Acto knives. There it is. That's where I put it. So we'll go ahead and get that out. And his bow staff is, surprisingly, I would not have expected this. It's different from the bow staff that came with, which, by the way, I have right here, so we can compare those once we get that opened up. And unfortunately, my bow staff got a little warped. That's what she said. But you can see how, like, the newer one is a little thicker and a bit more plain in terms of design, whereas the older one has a bit more detail to it. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they wound up making a new bow staff, whereas they could have just reused that, and I doubt anybody would have complained. So let's go ahead and get out his Batarang. And we've seen this Batarang before. It's a well-designed, very Silver Age type Batarang. So set that aside for now. And then Robin himself, get him out of the package. And he's got like some of these dratted plastic tabs that I loathe entirely. There we go. Get those out. You know, Todd, Hasbro hasn't been putting plastic tabs on their stuff lately. I've been opening a lot of G.I. Joe Classified and some Marvel Legends and even like a Star Wars year or two lately. And I can't recall any of them having these damn plastic tabs on there. And they seem to get along just fine. So I don't know what your problem with packaging is, especially considering how deeply this guy is packed in here and how he's got this plastic cape on the other side of this plastic tray. So I don't know why you're so worried about him falling out. But I can assure you, there's no reason you need to have all this. All right, so let's see if we can get him out of the package. Ah, there's one more around his waist. Oh, God. Tedious. It's absolutely tedious. There we go. Okay. Now we got him out. And I've mentioned on many occasions, probably most recently you would have heard it in that Superpowers action figure unboxing. This is my favorite Robin costume. Is the Tim Drake one, designed by Neil Adams, legendary Batman artist, probably the greatest Batman artist. I don't know if I can name just one artist to be the greatest Batman artist, but if I had to pick one, well, there's Alexander Lee. Hi, Alexander Lee. If I had to pick one, I would pick this one. And I think Mcfarlane did a good job of translating this into action figure form, although it does do the thing that Mcfarlane figures tend to do where they add a lot of detail where maybe there wasn't detail before. Like, you can see that there's a lot of armor plating to Robin's vest. I don't mind that so much. You can't see? It says, can you see that? Can you see it? That's right there. But yeah, like, he added a lot of detail to that armor plating, and I don't really mind that so much because this is in canon supposed to be an armored vest, and but you know it's just got a lot of plating and stuff added to it. It's kind of reminds me of the designs of the Arkham City video games. And you can see the 90s style Robin on the chest. There we go. Cannot see the TV, but I can see you. Well, I'm just talking about the figure. So We're not watching a show right now. And even when I do the watch-alongs, I don't tend to show the TV because I can't just show a show on YouTube. They'll sue me. But yeah, so you can see it's got a lot of the padding and stuff on the gloves. And they extended the padding all the way down to the hands. So when they made this Robin figure, the 1 year later type Robin, and I was looking at the sleeves and everything, and I was saying it's obvious that they're going to make the Neil Adams costume. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, that would be fun. But you can usually what I recommend people do during the watch-alongs is put the YouTube video on your phone and listen along with it while you watch the actual show on your actual television. That's what I would recommend you. I suppose you could, if you wanted to, put me on the TV and watch the show on your phone, if that's better for you. But I would think it would be better to have the show on the big screen and just have me over at the side, just kind of blabbing in your ear while you watch the show. That's how I recommend you do it. But yeah, going back to the figure, most of this is. I was saying at the time this was more of like a Neil Adams figure that they reworked to be a 1 year later suit. I mean, you can see with the sleeves and the gloves that he should have on this figure should be more like just Batman gloves, and the boots should be more like Batman boots. So they basically made this Robin figure first, but released this Robin figure first, if that makes any sense. But as I speculated, I figured they'd probably give him a different cape and probably give him a different belt. And we can see that whereas this one has more like the sort of standard Batman kind of pouch utility belt, this one has more like the way that Neil designed it. I'm going to turn off the light for a second, and then maybe we can get a better look at that, because I think that the yellow is getting kind of washed out by the light. But you can see what I'm talking about. Let me turn that back on now. But yeah, this particular Robin emblem, even though the suit itself was designed by Neil Adams, the emblem that Robin has in this suit was designed by another great Batman artist, Norm Breyfogle. So a lot of legacy to this suit. And that was another thing that I noticed when I was looking at that, is that like you can see that where the emblem is, it's actually sculpted to be an oval, even though this Robin has a circular emblem. But yeah, this one is more like the oval, how that particular one was shaped. Now, one difference is that like this R is supposed to be much larger and kind of like overlap off of the oval, but instead it's like completely contained within the oval on this one. And also I noticed there's some extra padding down here, which I think is kind of funny. Like, I don't know why you would specifically need pads right there, but you could, if you wanted to do a Young Justice type Robin with this, I think that you could probably just have the trunks be black and then paint those pads in red, and it would look kind of like the Young Justice suit, I would think. Like if the whole pants were black, but it had the red pads right there, I think that would look pretty cool. So head sculpt's nice, and with the newer cape, it does have a longer collar to it, which I think looks a bit more natural on Tim Drake than the shorter collar they had on the 1 year later figure. So that's good. He's got the little pigeon-toed ninja boots, so I like that. Again, it's got like some additional armor plating to it that you didn't really see that much in the comics. But I don't feel like any of that kind of stuff is necessarily inaccurate so much as it's or artistic license, and it does kind of, I think, lend a little more verisimilitude to the figure. All right, so let's go ahead and put the bow staff in his hands and see how that works out for him. Now, I am concerned, since this bow staff is a bit thicker than the other one, that it might not fit in his hands as well. But we're gonna see if we can get it to work. And it is a softer material than the plastic that's used in his hands, and I don't like that. I would much prefer to have the weapons be more rigid and the hands to be more pliable, so that way it to me it just seems that you can more easily fit the weapon in his hand. But it works out just fine. He looks pretty good holding it. So I do think it is a little thicker than it needs to be, but only just so. That's just me nitpicking. And looking at the painting on their faces, they went a little more all in on the lips on this guy. So he's got like a little more sort of like full lips than the previous Robin, like a little more Elvis, I guess. Oh, holy peanut butter and banana sandwich, Batman. Oh, so yeah, maybe a little more teen idol. I do notice that looking at the way that they did his hair and the way that they did the superpowers, Tim Drake hair, it's got like kind of a consistency between the two of them, where it is that spiky hair, but you can see it kind of like still kind of like sways off to one side, like they were trying to go for some kind of internal consistency between the two Tim Drake head sculpts. Like, obviously, this one's supposed to look more like an 80s superpower figure, and definitely to me seems based on the Dick Grayson Robin figure that we got in the 1980s. But the hair is very similar, so I find that kind of amusing. And again, going back to our comparison with the 1 year later Tim Drake, he's got the cape with the, sort of the Batman kind of scalloping. Really, this is supposed to be kind of like a baby Batman outfit almost, only with the red swapped out for Batman's gray. But since this was based off of the sculpt for the Neil Adams costume, it still looks more like the Neil Adams costume in a lot of those regards. So he should have Batman type gloves and Batman type boots as well, and not have the short sleeves that are apparently over long sleeves. It should just be like a solid red sleeve there. But I'm kind of nitpicking about it. So yeah, I like this one better because this one is more consistent with the Robin suit that it's supposed to be. And honestly, even if this one were like 100% accurate to the 1 year later costume, I like this costume better than the 1 year later costume. If for no other reason than this costume still has green in it. And of course, Robin was named after Robin Hood. So that's why he has green in his outfit. Robin was not named after the bird. He was named after Robin Hood. So, and if you don't believe me, go back to Detective Comics number 38, which is the first appearance of Robin, and read the first page where it literally describes him as taking his name from Robin Hood. Much like, I believe it says, much like the legendary Robin Hood, from which he takes his name. So yeah, that was very much done on purpose. Robin is named after Robin Hood. And think about this. Batman's big inspiration was supposed to be Zorro. And of course, the main version of Zorro he would have been based on, the one that Bill Finger and Bob Kane and Jerry Robinson would have been most familiar with, having grown up watching it, would have been the silent movie The Mark of Zorro, starring Douglas Fairbanks. And you know who else Douglas Fairbanks played? He played Robin Hood. So both Batman and Robin are based off Douglas Fairbanks. How cool is that? So yeah, last but not least, I do have Nightfall Batman handy. And of course, this would have been what Batman would have looked like in the comics at the time that this particular Robin costume debuted. So we got to get a shot of our dynamic duo together. I do wish that this figure, that Robin were a little shorter, because I do feel like they made him a little bit too tall. But I think that they still look good together. Don't you agree? Yes. So I'm really happy to have what I kind of consider to be like my two favorite looks of each of these characters. My favorite Batman suit and my favorite Robin suit, and they look so good together. And I kind of feel like this is a really nice combination here. So thanks to Mcfarlane for putting out both of these figures. I'm really happy with how they both turned out. Uh, I did and still do really like the 1 year later Robin figure. But, at the time I was looking at it and thinking, man, they're obviously going to do that Neil Adams costume later. And that's the one I'm really looking forward to. So this one was kind of like the appetizer. And this one is the main course. So I'm happy to have these guys in my collection. They're going to stand on my shelf together. And that's how that's going to look. It's going to look so cool. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe and all the other fun YouTube stuff down below. If you're somebody who's watching the episode live as it happens, well, I'm about to end this one, but I'm about to start another one. So we're going to go back to our Batman the Animated Series watch along. And this episode is going to be the last laugh. So I'm looking forward to that. So join me in a few minutes, and I will be back shortly. And if you're catching this in the replay, you can probably catch that episode in the replay too if you want to. All right, we'll talk to you next time. Bye.